In the first two footwork tutorials, we looked at an explosive start and also how to get to the corner quickly and also efficient. Now in this tutorial, we will have a closer look at the footwork technique in the corner and also the recovery afterwards. So why we do different movements during a shot and also what we should do afterwards to be ready for the next one. We should use different footwork techniques in the corners when we are hitting the shuttle, and now I will explain you what techniques you should use in which situations and also why these footworks are useful and will help us especially to recover quickly and be ready for the next shot as fast as possible. The most common thing in badminton you use are lunges. Especially to the front court you will use lunges, but also to the sides, for example in defense, and also if you have a lot of pressure and you have to move to the rear court and hit the shuttle really low, you will also eventually do a lunge, usually or hopefully with your strong leg. So for right-handed players, the lunge should always be with the right leg. Left-handed players should do the lunge with the left leg. There's one exception if the shuttle is really close, or also maybe if you're defending, for me here on the left side, then sometimes I can also use a lunge with the left leg, but only when the shuttle is really close. Otherwise, I should always get the right foot in front and do the lunge with the right foot. On the sides and especially in the rear court, we use a lot of different jumping techniques. And especially on the forehand side, when the shuttle is beside us, we use a technique called China jump. There's just a jump with two legs where we have no hip rotation, as you see here in the video. So the leg position is the same during jumping off and landing, and there's no turn of the hip. In the center of the court, or also in our round the head corner, we use a lot of jumping and turning. So during our jump, we turn our hip, so the foot position turns around 180 degrees during our shot. So for me as a right-handed player, I jump, the right leg is in the back, and when I land, I turn and the left leg is landing behind me. To understand why we do these movements during the shots, we always have to keep in mind we usually want to be ready for the next shot afterwards. And that usually means also moving backwards towards the center. There are a few situations where you don't want to go to the center, but most of the times you want to get out of the corner quickly. And that is one big reason why we're doing these techniques. Already in the starting tutorial, I described that if we want to go to the, for example, right front court, I have to push to the left rear court. And that principle also counts when I'm in the corner. For example, here in the right front court, and now I want to go back to the middle, I have to push in the opposite direction. So this means I have to push to the right front court, and the lunge here, if I do a big lunge and the foot is in front of me, that helps me to push back, put some energy into that direction and get here into the middle, into the center of the court. So when you're doing footwork in a corner, if you're jumping in the back or doing a lunge in front, your main focus should always be the leg, if you go to the front court, in front of you, or if you go to the back, behind you, because those are the legs that will push you back to the center of the court and will get you into a good position for your next starting movement or for your next shot in the rally. So especially in the rear court, I see a lot of players that don't really focus, for example here with the scissor jump on the left leg. The left leg lands under them and then they just fall out of the court, have to do some 2 or 3 extra steps before they can go back forwards. Try really to focus on that left leg, to bring it behind you and push right away to get forward again. Same here, for example, for the China jump. I focus on the right leg to push right out of the corner. And that is one really, really important thing for footwork in general. I said the first step, the starting movement, has to be explosive and fast, but also try to be very explosive and fast with the first step out of the corner. How you recover after a shot always depends on the situation and especially the shot you've played. For example, if you play clear, you will have a lot of time. We said that in the first tutorial also, that you can then move to the center of the court and you probably don't have to hurry so much. So of course you cannot be that slow, but if you take a first step fast out of the corner, you have some time, can relax before you have to make the next start in the middle. So also take that time, and also here have a look at some top players, some videos from them. They are never really waiting in the middle. If they have time, then they take the time during the way back, and then they will be in the middle exactly when they have to start for the next shot. And that should also be your goal, to always set the rhythm to the rhythm of your shots. There's a cool exercise where you just need a partner, a cord, and a ball that bounces a little. And you're doing footwork, you can decide what corners you're doing. Here in the video, I do the rear court corners, always one time forehand, one time backhand. And always he's throwing up the ball in the air, and every time he bounces, I want to make my explosive start in the middle. And he will variate the tempo of it. Sometimes he will throw it a little bit more up, sometimes not so much. So I have to change the speed of my recovery and try to always be in the middle when the ball lands. Not too early, and of course not too late. Now, if you want to train it with flying shuttle, you can also use exercises again like I showed in the first tutorial, with one corner against 3 or 4 corners. And if the feeder is standing in the front court, again, you have only little time, you only have time for one step of recovery, and so you have to choose the right recovery technique to be ready for the next starting movement. If you play against the rear court, you will have a lot of time, you will probably be able to do some relaxed running steps back to the middle and then start again from there. So also a good way to practice the difference between offensive and defensive recovery in those situations. Okay, so much for this. I hope you now have a better understanding and some ideas what you should focus on when you are doing lunges, when you're doing jumps in the rear court, how to get a faster and better recovery, and also a better understanding of how you should recover and the different rhythm and timing after your shots. If you're not so experienced yet and you don't know how to do these kind of movements like lunges, jumps, scissor jumps and so on, don't worry, the next few tutorials will be exactly about that. So I will go in detail about the different movements during a lunge, during a China jump, and all the other things that there are in footwork. So stay tuned for that. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so, leave a like, and I hope to see you next time. Bye bye.